Your car requires an MOT certificate. When is it legal to drive it without an MOT certificate? Up to 7 days after the old certificate has run out. When driving to an MOT centre to arrange an appointment. When driving the car with the owner's permission. When driving to an appointment at an MOT centre.
When a car is 3 years old, 4 years old in Northern Ireland, it must pass an MOT test and have a valid MOT certificate before it can be used on the road. Exceptionally, you may drive to a pre-arranged test appointment or to a garage for repairs required for the test. Drive vehicles made before 1960 without an MOT test, but they must be in a roadworthy condition before being used on the road.
You've been convicted of driving while unfit through drink or drugs. You'll find this is likely to cause the cost of one of the following to rise considerably. Which one? Road fund licence. Insurance premiums. Vehicle test certificate. Driving licence.
You've shown that you're a risk to yourself and others on the road. For this reason, insurance companies may charge you a higher premium.
Who's responsible for making sure that a vehicle isn't overloaded? The driver of the vehicle. The owner of the items being carried. The person who loaded the vehicle. The licensing authority.
Carrying heavy loads will affect control and the vehicle's handling characteristics. If the vehicle you're driving is overloaded, you'll be held responsible.
What does this sign tell you? No through road. End of traffic calming zone. Free parking zone ends. No waiting zone ends.
The blue and red circular sign on its own means that waiting restrictions are in force. This sign shows that you're leaving the controlled zone, and waiting restrictions no longer apply.
You've just passed these warning lights. What hazard would you expect to see next? A level crossing with no barrier? An ambulance station? A school crossing patrol? An opening bridge?
These lights warn that children may be crossing the road to a nearby school. Slow down so that you're ready to stop if necessary.
You're at the scene of an incident. Someone is suffering from shock. How should you treat them? Reassure them confidently. Offer them a cigarette. Give them a warm drink. Offer them some food.
If someone is suffering from shock, try to keep them warm and as comfortable as you can. Don't give them anything to eat or drink, but reassure them confidently and try not to leave them alone.
How can you lessen the risk of your vehicle being broken into at night? Leave it in a well-lit area. Park in a quiet side road. Don't engage the steering lock. Park in a poorly lit area.
Having your vehicle broken into or stolen can be very distressing and inconvenient. Avoid leaving your vehicle unattended in poorly lit areas.
You're driving past a line of parked cars. You notice a ball bouncing out into the road ahead. What should you do? Continue driving at the same speed and sound your horn. Continue driving at the same speed and flash your headlights. Slow down and be prepared to stop for children. Stop and wave the children across to fetch their ball.
Beware of children playing in the street and running out into the road. If a ball bounces out from the pavement, slow down and be prepared to stop. Don't encourage anyone to retrieve it. Other road users may not see your signal, and you might lead a child into a dangerous situation.
On a 3-lane dual carriageway, what can the right-hand lane be used for? Overtaking only, never turning right. Overtaking or turning right. Fast-moving traffic only. Turning right only, never overtaking.
You should normally use the left-hand lane on any dual carriageway unless you're overtaking or turning right. When overtaking on a dual carriageway, look for vehicles ahead that are turning right. They may be slowing or stopped. You need to see them in good time so that you can take appropriate action.
You're driving on a motorway at night. When may you switch off your headlights? When there are vehicles close in front of you. When you're travelling below 50 miles per hour. When the motorway is lit. When your vehicle is broken down on the hard shoulder.
Always use your headlights at night on a motorway unless you've had to stop on the hard shoulder. If you break down and have to use the hard shoulder, switch off your headlights but leave your side lights on so that other road users can see your vehicle.
Why should you make sure that your indicators are cancelled after turning? To avoid flattening the battery. To avoid misleading other road users. To avoid dazzling other road users. To avoid damage to the indicator relay.
Leaving your indicators on could confuse other road users and may even lead to a crash. Be aware that if you haven't taken a sharp turn, your indicators may not self-cancel and you'll need to turn them off manually.
That your indicators are cancelled. On what type of road surface may anti-lock brakes not work effectively? Dry. Loose. Firm. Smooth.
Poor contact with the road surface could cause one or more of the tyres to lose grip on the road. This is more likely to happen when braking in poor weather conditions and when the road has a loose, slippery or uneven surface.
You're driving in busy traffic. You want to pull up on the left, just after a junction on the left. When should you signal? As you're passing or just after the junction? Just before you reach the junction. Well before you reach the junction. It would be better not to signal at all.
You need to signal to let other drivers know your intentions. However, if you indicate too early, they may think you're turning left into the junction. Correct timing of the signal is very important to avoid misleading others.
What should you do when a person herding sheep asks you to stop? Ignore them as they have no authority. Stop and switch off your engine. Continue on, but drive slowly. Try to get past quickly.
If someone in charge of animals asks you to stop, you should do so and switch off your engine. Animals are unpredictable and startle easily. They could turn and run into your path or into the path of another moving vehicle.
Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. You aren't able to stop on the hard shoulder. What should you do? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Stop following traffic and ask for help. Attempt to repair your vehicle quickly. Stand behind your vehicle to warn others.
If you can't get your vehicle onto the hard shoulder, use your hazard warning lights to warn others. Leave your vehicle only when you can safely get clear of the carriageway. Don't try to repair the vehicle or attempt to place any warning device on the carriageway.
When will you feel the effects of engine braking? When you only use the handbrake. When you're in neutral. When you change to a lower gear. When you change to a higher gear.
When you take your foot off the accelerator, engines have a natural resistance to turn, caused mainly by the cylinder compression. Changing to a lower gear requires the engine to turn faster, and so it will have greater resistance than when it's made to turn more slowly. When going downhill, changing to a lower gear will therefore help to keep the vehicle's speed in check.
Why should you switch your lights on when it first starts to get dark? To make your dials easier to see, so others can see you more easily, so that you blend in with other drivers, because the street lights are lit.
Your headlights and tail lights help others on the road to see you. It may be necessary to turn on your lights during the day if visibility is reduced, for example, due to heavy rain. In these conditions, the lights might fade before the street lights are timed to switch on. Be seen to be safe.
You're leaving your vehicle parked on a road and unattended. When may you leave the engine running? If you'll be parking for less than 5 minutes, if the battery keeps going flat, when parked in a 20 miles per hour zone, never if you're away from the vehicle.
When you leave your vehicle parked on a road, switch off the engine and secure the vehicle. Make sure no valuables are visible. Shut all the windows, lock the vehicle, and set the alarm if the vehicle has one.
What should you do when you leave your car unattended for a few minutes? Leave the engine running. Switch the engine off, but leave the key in. Lock it and remove the key. Park near a traffic warden.
Always switch off the engine, remove the key and lock your car, even if you're only leaving it for a few minutes.
On a motorway, What's an emergency refuge area used for? In cases of emergency or breakdown, if you think you'll be involved in a road rage incident, for a police patrol to park and watch traffic, for construction and road workers to store emergency equipment.
Emergency refuge areas are built at the side of the hard shoulder. If you break down, try to get your vehicle into the refuge, where there's an emergency telephone. The phone connects directly to a control centre. Remember to take care when rejoining the motorway, especially if the hard shoulder is being used as a running lane.
A slow-moving lorry showing this sign is travelling in the middle lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you pass it? Cautiously approach the lorry, then pass on either side. Don't pass the lorry and leave the motorway at the next exit. Use the right-hand lane and pass the lorry normally. Approach with care and pass on the left of the lorry.
This sign is found on slow-moving or stationary works vehicles. If you wish to overtake, do so on the left, as indicated. Be aware that there might be workmen in the area.
You wish to turn right ahead. Why should you take up the correct position in good time? To allow other drivers to pull out in front of you, to give a better view into the road that you're joining, to help other road users know what you intend to do, to allow drivers to pass you on the right.
If you wish to turn right into a side road, take up your position in good time. Move to the centre of the road when it's safe to do so. This will allow vehicles to pass you on the left. Early planning will show other traffic what you intend to do.
You're towing a caravan. Which is the safest type of rear-view mirror to use? Interior wide-angle mirror. Extended arm side mirrors. Ordinary door mirrors. Ordinary interior mirror.
Towing a large trailer or caravan can greatly reduce your view of the road behind. You may need to fit extended arm side mirrors, so that you can see clearly behind and down both sides of the caravan or trailer.
Some two-way roads are divided into 3 lanes. Why are these particularly dangerous? Traffic in both directions can use the middle lane to overtake. Traffic can travel faster in poor weather conditions. Traffic can overtake on the left. Traffic uses the middle lane for emergencies only.
If you intend to overtake, you must consider that approaching traffic could be planning the same manoeuvre. When you've considered the situation and decided it's safe, indicate your intentions early. This will show the approaching traffic that you intend to pull out.
What should you do as you approach this lorry? Slow down and be prepared to wait. Make the lorry wait for you. Flash your lights at the lorry. Move to the right-hand side of the road.
When turning, long vehicles need much more room on the road than other vehicles. At junctions, they may take up the whole of the road space, so be patient and allow them the room they need.
What does this temporary sign indicate? The speed limit change at the end of the motorway. An advisory change of speed limit ahead. A variable speed limit ahead. A mandatory speed limit change ahead.
In the interests of road safety, temporary mandatory speed limits are imposed at all major roadworks. Signs like this, giving advance warning of the speed limit, are normally placed about 3/4 of a mile ahead of where the speed limit comes into force.
When are anti-lock brakes of most use to you? When you're braking gently. When you're braking on rural roads. When you're braking harshly. When you're braking on a motorway.
Anti-lock brakes won't be needed when you're braking normally. Looking well down the road and anticipating possible hazards could prevent you from having to brake late and harshly. Knowing that you have anti-lock brakes isn't an excuse to drive in a careless or reckless way.
Which is the most vulnerable road user at road junctions? Car driver, tractor driver, lorry driver, motorcyclist.
Pedestrians and riders on two wheels can be harder to see than other road users. Make sure you look for them, especially at junctions. Effective observation, coupled with appropriate action, can save lives.
Why are these yellow lines painted across the road? To help you choose the correct lane, to help you keep the correct separation distance, to make you aware of your speed, to tell you the distance to the roundabout.
These lines are often found on the approach to a roundabout or a dangerous junction. They give you extra warning to adjust your speed. Look well ahead and do this in good time.
How can you use your vehicle's engine as a brake? By changing to a lower gear. By selecting reverse gear. By changing to a higher gear. By selecting neutral gear.
When driving on downhill stretches of road, selecting a lower gear gives increased engine braking. This will prevent excessive use of the brakes, which become less effective if they overheat.
What does this sign mean? Buses turning. Ring road. Mini roundabout. Keep right.
When you see this sign, look out for any direction signs and judge whether you need to signal your intentions. Do this in good time so that other road users approaching the roundabout know what you're planning to do.
Turning the steering wheel while stationary can cause damage to which part of your car? Gearbox, engine, brakes, tyres. Your vehicle has broken down on an automatic railway level. Turning the steering wheel.
Turning the steering wheel when the car isn't moving is known as dry steering. It can cause unnecessary wear to the tyres and steering mechanism.
Your vehicle has broken down on an automatic railway level crossing. What should you do first? Get everyone out of the vehicle and clear of the crossing. Telephone your vehicle recovery service to move it. Walk along the track to give warning to any approaching trains. Try to push the vehicle clear of the crossing as soon as possible.
First, get yourself and anyone else well away from the crossing. If there's a railway telephone, use that to get instructions from the signal operator. Then, if there's time, move the vehicle clear of the crossing.
You're waiting at a pelican crossing. What does it mean when the red light changes to flashing amber? Wait for pedestrians on the crossing to clear. Move off immediately without any hesitation. Wait for the green light before moving off. Get ready and go when the continuous amber light shows.
This light allows pedestrians already on the crossing to get to the other side in their own time, without being rushed. Don't rev your engine or start to move off while they're still crossing.
You're on the motorway. Luggage falls from your vehicle. What should you do? Stop at the next emergency telephone and contact the police. Stop on the motorway and switch on hazard warning lights while you pick it up. Walk back up the motorway to pick it up. Pull up on the hard shoulder and wave traffic down.
If any object falls onto the motorway carriageway from your vehicle, pull onto the hard shoulder near an emergency telephone and call for assistance. Don't stop on the carriageway or attempt to retrieve anything.
You're on a road that's only wide enough for one vehicle. A car is coming towards you. What should you do? Pull into a passing place on your right. Force the other driver to reverse. Pull into a passing place if your vehicle is wider. Pull into a passing place on your left.
Pull into the nearest passing place on the left if you meet another vehicle on a narrow road. If the nearest passing place is on the right, wait opposite it.
It's essential that tyre pressures are checked regularly. When should this be done? After any lengthy journey? After travelling at high speed? When tyres are hot? When tyres are cold?
Check the tyre pressures when the tyres are cold. This will give you a more accurate reading. The heat generated on a long journey will raise the pressure inside the tyre.
You find that you need glasses to read vehicle number plates at the required distance. When must you wear them? Only in bad weather conditions. At all times when driving. Only when you think it's necessary. Only in bad light or at night time.
Have your eyesight tested before you start your practical training. Then, throughout your driving life, have checks periodically, as your vision may change.
The left-hand pavement is closed due to street repairs. What should you do? Watch out for pedestrians walking in the road. Use your right-hand mirror more often. Speed up to get past the roadworks more quickly. Position close to the left-hand curb.
Where street repairs have closed off pavements, proceed carefully and slowly, as pedestrians might have to walk in the road.
Why should you never wave people across at pedestrian crossings? Another vehicle may be coming. They may not be looking. It's safer for you to carry on. They may not be ready to cross.
If people are waiting to use a pedestrian crossing, slow down and be prepared to stop. Don't wave them across the road, because another driver may not have seen them, may not have seen your signal, and may not be able to stop safely.
You want to reverse into a side road, but you aren't sure that the area behind your car is clear. What should you do? Look through the rear window only. Get out and check. Check the mirrors only. Carry on, assuming it's clear.
If you can't tell whether there's anything behind you, it's always safest to check before reversing. There may be a small child or a low obstruction close behind your car.
In which conditions are your anti-lock brakes most unlikely to prevent skidding? In foggy conditions. At night on unlit roads. On loose road surfaces. On dry tarmac.
Anti-lock brakes may be ineffective on gravel or loose surfaces. They may also be ineffective in very wet weather, when water can build up between the tyre and the road surface. This is known as aquaplaning.
You're on a 3-lane motorway. A red cross is showing above the hard shoulder and mandatory speed limits above all other lanes. What does this mean? The hard shoulder can be used as a rest area if you feel tired. The hard shoulder is for emergency or breakdown use only. The hard shoulder can be used as a normal running lane. The hard shoulder has a speed limit of 50 miles per hour.
A red cross above the hard shoulder shows that it's closed as a running lane and should only be used for emergencies or breakdowns. On a smart motorway, the hard shoulder may be used as a running lane at busy times. This will be shown by a mandatory speed limit on the gantry above the hard shoulder.
What does this sign mean? The right-hand lane ahead is narrow. Right-hand lane for buses only. Right-hand lane for turning right. The right-hand lane is closed.
Yellow and black temporary signs may be used to inform you about roadworks or lane restrictions. Look well ahead. If you have to change lanes, do so in good time.
Where would you expect to see these markers? On a motorway sign. On a railway bridge. On a large goods vehicle. On a diversion sign.
These markers must be fitted to vehicles over 13 metres long, large goods vehicles, and rubbish skips placed in the road. They're reflective to make them easier to see in the dark.
Who may use toucan crossings? Motorcyclists and cyclists. Motorcyclists and pedestrians. Only cyclists. Cyclists and pedestrians.
There are some crossings where cycle routes lead cyclists to cross at the same place as pedestrians. These are called toucan crossings. Always look out for cyclists, as they're likely to be approaching faster than pedestrians.
What's the right-hand lane used for on a 3-lane motorway? Emergency vehicles only. Overtaking. Vehicles towing trailers. Coaches only.
You should keep to the left and only use the right-hand lane if you're passing slower-moving traffic.
At which type of crossing are cyclists allowed to ride across with pedestrians? Toucan, puffin, pelican, zebra.
A toucan crossing is designed to allow pedestrians and cyclists to cross at the same time. Look out for cyclists approaching the crossing at speed.
What are triangular signs for? To give warnings. To give information. To give orders. To give directions.
This type of sign warns you of hazards ahead. Make sure you look at each sign that you pass on the road so that you don't miss any vital instructions or information.
What's the purpose of these road markings? To ensure children can see and be seen when crossing the road. To enable teachers to have clear access to the school. To ensure delivery vehicles have easy access to the school. To enable parents to pick up or drop off children safely.
These markings are found on the road outside schools. Don't stop or park on them, even to set down or pick up children. The markings are there to ensure that drivers, riders, children and other pedestrians have a clear view of the road in all directions.